Welcome everyone back to weekly weather updates, and in today's video we're going to have a look at the latest from the live radar from the UKV, have a look at the precipitation and the temperature over the next 5 days. It is going to remain fairly cool and it's going to be turning unsettled once again over the coming days. Now we have easterly winds in at the moment. We are generally under higher pressure though, with that high sat towards Scandinavia extending over the top of us. So it is chilly but generally dry with few showers around. But that will likely change into the weekend as we continue to see an easterly flow but more low pressure systems pushing up from the south. As we'll see from some of the longer range charts, that sort of pattern could reoccur again and again throughout the middle parts of March, with lows pushing in, stalling before degrading away. And the risk with that is seeing lots of rain, especially further southwards and westwards. So the next couple of days are going to be dry, but beyond that, I must say it is not looking particularly great at all for drier conditions. So do remember, if you enjoy my videos, to like and subscribe, and remember to follow me on Twitter as well, the link's in the description. As you can see on the latest live radar, very few showers around at the moment, the wind coming in from the east, so it is dragging quite a bit of cloud in, but most are dry. A little bit chilly out there, the upper air temperatures are below average, but they're not remarkably below average, so it's generally feeling a little on the cold side, but around the mid to high single digits today. If you look at those temperatures around 8 p.m, you can see temperatures are starting to fall away, especially over the higher ground. But because we've got a lot of cloud, it is going to hold those temperatures up, most likely above freezing in most areas. Frost most likely further westwards and further northwards. Now, if you do look at the latest UKV, you can see through the rest of this evening into tomorrow, not too many showers around, maybe a few more appearing further northwards and eastwards overnight tonight, maybe across parts of the Republic of Ireland and Northern Ireland as well, turning to snow over the higher ground. And again, generally tomorrow, another pretty dry day. You can actually see there's more sunshine through that, so it will make it feel a little bit milder and a little bit more pleasant. You can see in the southwest though, thicker clouds starting to build, and that's already showing you that low pressure is starting to push back in, and it will try to do that through the weekend. As we head into Saturday, a few showers across the south coast towards southwest England, maybe spreading northwards through the morning and not making too many inroads through much of Saturday. But it's as we progress into Sunday, Saturday evening, overnight to Sunday, heavy rain starting to appear across many parts of England and Wales, and continues through most of Sunday as well. And this is all because we start to see low pressure spiral in the south. You can see the wind direction is still in from the east, so the precipitation is still going to be flowing from the channel, from the North Sea. So it's going to drag cool air, so it's going to make it feel cold and really quite horrible for the second half of the weekend. Now, it's not going to be raining all the time. There will be drier spells, there will be brief rises in pressure, so we're not going to see an absolute deluge all the time, but we are going to see quite a bit of rain, and it is going to be pretty horrible a lot of the time, if I'm being completely honest. You can see into Monday, slightly drier conditions, but still showers pushing in. But you can see the next area of rain pushing in for Tuesday. A bit further northwards here as the pressure lowers there as well, just meaning more showers and more areas of persistent rain. Now, I must say, we're not looking at any huge deluges, as I said a minute ago. We're not looking at insanely warm upper air temperatures, so that the air has not got that much energy associated with it, so we're not going to see these huge big walls of rain, but we are likely to see quite a lot of persistent light to moderate precipitation that could turn heavy at times. You can see by next week, it could be raining more often than not. If you look at the upper air temperatures, you can see we're generally going to be in around average or below average over the coming 5 days. There will be pools of cold air developing, and again, that could cause frosts in places and just generally cooler conditions. You can see into next week, more often than not, the temperatures will be around 0 to -3 or 4, so it's still chilly, but eventually towards the end of the week, we could start to see slightly milder conditions pushing into the far south. But of course, that's going to be accompanied by more energy and more rain, as if you look at the mean sea level pressure, is associated with lower pressure there coming in off the Atlantic. You can see by the early part of next week, the UKV has the tilt more of a southeasterly, and that's because low pressure is starting to move in further northwards as well, trying to break down that high. So it could mean next week, especially the early part, we see that rain push further northwards, as we saw from the latest UKV. Now, if you do put on the max temperatures, you can see overnight tonight, maybe an isolated frost in northern and western areas, but by tomorrow afternoon, again, temperatures mid to high single digits may just touch 10 to 12 degrees where we see a bit of sunshine. Overnight into the weekend, again, could be an isolated frost, but most areas around the mid-single digits. And by Saturday afternoon, again, could see temperatures just about get to 12 or 13. And again, that sounds actually pretty good, considering we've just come out of winter, but it's really touching average, and you can see it is most likely going to feel below average with that easterly flow. Into Sunday, start to see quite a bit of heavy rain move in. Temperatures not going to get much above 7 or 8 degrees for most, maybe 10 to 12 at best. So really chilly and horrible day. Into Monday, similar story, where we have that precipitation and cloud, mid to high single digits, wherever we have some dry conditions, 10 to 12 degrees, and the same could be said as we head into Tuesday. So plenty of cool, nothing amazingly cold, but cool and rainy conditions coming up from around Saturday evening onwards. So enjoy the next sort of 48 hours or so of dry conditions pretty widely. As I said, it's not going to be massively cold, but it definitely is going to feel very chilly under all that rain with generally cool upper air temperatures. Now, if you have a look at the latest GFS, you can see the easterly winds pushing in at the moment. That continues over the coming days, but you can see more low pressure pushing in from the south and the pressure slowly dropping. That will continue into next week with more lows approaching from the Atlantic. And look at that, by next Wednesday, a low sat right over the top of us, meaning it's going to be pretty unsettled indeed. Beyond that, we continue to see lows sliding off the Atlantic, high pressure continuing to try to build towards Scandinavia, not really turning us cold at all or particularly settled, keeping us pretty chilly, average to below average air masses, and plenty of precipitation. If we look at the accumulated precipitation, you'd think with the Scandinavian eye, with high pressure around blocking, we'd see some sort of respite, but look at that, still plenty of pinks and purples there, showing that, not going to be a lot of let up for the precipitation. Over the next couple of hours, not too much, but it's from around Saturday evening onwards that the rain starts to really build up. If you compare to the GM, it's actually very similar. Quite a good consistency from the models today. Easterly winds pushing in, low pressure eventually sliding in off the Atlantic, high pressure trying to maintain itself to our east, but we continue to see these lows just trying to drag in off the Atlantic. With that high pressure to our east, it could mean that these lows move through very slowly indeed. And if that were the case, then we could again see lots of precipitation get dumped over the top of us. Upper air temperatures are slightly milder, with less of a Scandinavian high and more of a sort of a northern Europe high, which means there's less chilly air coming in on the easterly flows, more of a southerly flow, but not a particularly mild southerly flow. So again, that is something we need to keep an eye on, as that will determine the temperatures. That could swing the temperatures by a few degrees there. If you compare to the ECMWF, again, an easterly wind coming in off the Atlantic, low pressure continuing to spiral around to our south and our west, and it looks really quite horrible all the way to day 10. Heights are still there to our northeast, not particularly strong, but still there. That's slowing the jet stream, pushing it southwards, just keeping these lows trapped over the top of us. And out to day 10 again, you can see lots of precipitation. You can see the jet stream is pushed southwards because there's a lot more precipitation for France, Spain and Portugal, but it's not pushed far enough southwards. That high isn't strong enough to keep all of that miserable conditions away from us. We're just on that northern edge. So it is likely to actually probably be most unsettled, at least initially further southwards, or likely going more widespread. If you could finish the video by looking at the ensembles, you can see precipitation is nil for the next couple of days, but by the weekend, precipitation picking up. It is going to be quite convective based, and as I said, we're not expecting any walls of rain because the upper air temperatures are still relatively chilly, so there's not too much moisture in that air, still relatively dry. So we're not, as I said, not going to see anything huge in terms of precipitation rates. That's why these spikes aren't absolutely massive, but they're really frequent, just showing you rain will be pretty widespread over the coming days. And you can see the upper air temperatures are around average, if not more below average. Definitely quite a few chillier runs appearing toward the middle of March. Again, giving you indications that we could see colder pools around. Again, I'm not expecting anything massively cold, no snow or anything like that, but frosts possible, maybe a few wintry showers around in places, and just generally quite a cold feel. If we look at those 2 metre temperatures, generally around average or below average. It will feel like temperature bringing that down as well, but we're looking at sort of 8 or 9 towards 12 degrees at best. And if you finally compare to the ECMWF, unfortunately we can't have a look at the full midday run, but out to sort of 8 days that we can see, it's very similar, average to slightly below average with plenty of precipitation. And if you do compare it to the midnight run, you can see it is very similar. More clustering around the mean, so more consistency here from the ensembles. They agreed together a little bit more, but you can see generally still following on from the GFS. Below average apparatus temperatures more likely than not, and generally quite a bit of precipitation. You see, for example, if we compare to Exeter, Exeter's going to get smashed by quite a bit more rain, again, being further south and westwards. And if you do have a look at Glasgow, maybe initially could avoid the rain, at least the next sort of 5 or 6 days, but longer term, precipitation turning up again as we head into the middle of the month. So further northwards, you actually might have an extra few days without rain, but it's likely to return as we head into the early to middle parts of next week. So anyway, thanks for watching. Hope you have enjoyed. Did you enjoy the dry period, or the brief dry period we have now? Areas in the south, maybe 48 hours at most. Further northwards, you may sneak 3 or 4 days. But for most, as we head into next week, we're going to see lots of slow-moving, cold rain. It's going to be pretty miserable out there. Indeed, hopefully things can change. Hopefully that high is a little bit stronger. But we will just have to see how it develops over the coming days. So anyway, thanks for watching. Hope you enjoyed. Subscribe if you're new. And I'll see you again for another video soon.